Hello everyone. Here I am with the part 2 of recombinant DNA technology. In part 1, we saw the basic steps of recombinant DNA technology and one of the most important tool, that is restriction enzyme. We saw its properties, its nomenclature, the types of cuts, etc. We also looked at other enzymes which were involved in cloning. In part 2, we are going to look at other important tools like vector, which are different types of vector, and the host cell. Coming to vectors, what are the features of vector? It contains origin of replication so that it can autonomously replicate, means it can do self-replication. It doesn't have to depend on the host cell for replication. It has selectable markers like antibiotic resistance, or it can have laxed gene which will result in the production of enzymes such as beta-galactosidase. Multiple cloning site MCS or polylinker site for the flexibility in the choice and use of restriction enzyme. Mean the multiple cloning site, we will have recognition site or restriction site for many restriction enzymes. Small size for the easy entry into the host cell. So all these features are present in. Coming to the most preferred vector, plasmid, which is a bacterial vector. What are plasmids? It's extra chromosomal, it's self-replicating, circular, double-stranded DNA. It's found in bacteria and yeast, and it is present in multiple copies. It can be present in 3 or 4 copies also, and it is most widely used versatile vectors. Let's look at one of the comparison between two plasmid vectors, PBR322 and PUC. PBR322, stands for Bolivier and Rodriguez, who are two scientists who made this plasmid construct. PUC stands for University of California, where this construct of vector was made. In PBR322, two different antibiotic resistance genes are present as selectable markers, AMPR and TETA. AMPR stands for ampicillin resistance, TETA stands for tetracycline resistance. MCS, which is multiple cloning site, and ORI. PUC, it contains region of the laxed gene that encodes for the enzyme beta-galactosidase. So when you have the gene laxed, it will encode for the enzyme beta-galactosidase. It has polylinker site or multiple cloning site. It has ampicillin resistance marker. So instead of two selectable markers which are antibiotic resistance, here only one is present, which is ampicillin resistance. And it has origin of replication. Coming to shuttle vectors. Shuttle vectors can exist in both prokaryotes as well as eukaryotes. It contains two types of ORI and selectable marker genes. One set for prokaryotes and another set for eukaryotes. An example of shuttle vector is YEP, that is yeast episomal plasmid. This shuttle vector shuttles between yeast, which is an eukaryote, and bacteria, which is a prokaryote. YEP has got LEU2 gene. This gene encodes for the enzyme which is required for the synthesis of amino acid leucine. Yeast cells having this YEP plasmid can grow on a medium which lacks leucine and hence can be selected. So only YEP which has this LEU2 gene will be selected. So LEU2 will act as a selectable marker. Let's look at another example of a shuttle vector, that is TI plasmid. This shuttles between plant and soil bacterium, Agrobacterium tumefaciens. So this is between the bacterium and the plant cell, whereas YEP was between a prokaryote and eukaryote, E. coli and yeast. Coming to expression vectors. Vectors which are suitable for expressing foreign protein are called expression vectors. The fragment containing the gene expressing the foreign protein along with the signals for transcription and translation in the given host is present in the vector. So in the host cell, the gene gets translated to the foreign protein. Transcription, as you know, is DNA getting converted to RNA, and translation is RNA getting converted to protein. So the signals for both will be present along with our gene of interest. Next, let's look at vectors based on bacteriophages, lambda and M13. Let's look at the features of lambda vector. It's double-stranded, it's linear, it has got 48,514 base pairs, out of which the 12 bases which are present at the end, they are unpaired but complementary. So it produces a sticky or cohesive ends, and this is important for the packaging of DNA. Large fragment in the center region of the genome can be replaced by foreign insert DNA. So the gene of interest is put in the center. It allows cloning up to 23 kb in size. Coming to M13 vectors, it's a filamentous phage which infects the E. coli having a pilus. It is single-stranded, circular. It has got 6,407 base pairs. Foreign DNA can be inserted without disrupting any gene. Single-stranded DNA will be converted to replicative form, which will be double-stranded. Then again, DNA replication becomes asymmetric and single-stranded copies of genome are produced. So, this replicative form, which is double-stranded, can be purified and manipulated as a plasmid, whereas single-stranded forms can be used in DNA sequencing and site-directed mutagenesis. The genome size is less than 10 kb, which is lesser than of the lambda vector. Coming to cosmids. What are cosmids? Cosmids are constructed by combining features of plasmid and the cos sites of phage lambda. So it has that unpaired cohesive sites of phage lambda, and it has other features of plasmid. That is why it is called cosmid. Cos site plus plasmid, cosmid. It is the simplest complex cosmid vector. It contains origin of replication, a selectable marker, suitable restriction enzyme sites, and lambda cos site. And it can clone up to 45 kilobase pairs in. Let's look at two vectors which are used in genome sequencing projects, YAC and BAC. What are they? Coming to BAC, BAC is bacterial artificial chromosome. It's vectors based on plasmid from E. coli, the F plasmid or fertility plasmid. It contains ori and maintenance of plasmid, selectable marker, and the cloning sites. It can accommodate fragments up to 500 kb in size and used in genome sequencing projects. Whereas YAC is yeast artificial chromosome, vectors containing telomeric sequence of the centromere, and ARS autonomously replicating sequences. Both these are features required to replicate linear chromosomes in yeast cells. It also contains restriction sites as well as selectable markers. It can clone fragments up to 1 mega base pairs in size, 1 MB in size. So it can clone fragments it is bigger than BAC. Last category of vectors are animal and plant vectors. Viruses that can infect plant and animals are manipulated to introduce foreign genes into them. The natural ability of the viruses to adsorb to cells and introduce their DNA and replicate make them ideal vehicles. Animal vectors include SV40, adenoviruses, and papillomaviruses. Plant vectors include cauliflower mosaic virus, tobacco mosaic virus, and next important tool are host cells. E. coli cell is the most preferred host cell in RDT. Why? Because of its genetic makeup. It's every genome, E. coli genome is fully characterized. It's easy to handle and grow, can accept a wide range of vectors and extensively studied for safety. And the cells divide every 20 minutes, making it possible to clone large amounts of DNA. Whereas, if it is expression of eukaryotic proteins, yeast cells are preferred. Again, the reason being, yeast is a simple eukaryotic organism. It is unicellular, extensively characterized genetically. It is easy to grow and large amount of recombinant protein can be obtained. Another very important point is for expression of eukaryotic proteins, eukaryotic host is preferred because functionally active proteins require proper folding and post-translational modifications such as glycosylation is not possible in E. coli cells. Also, introns cannot be processed in E. coli cells. That is why in E. coli you cannot express eukaryotic proteins. Tools used in RDAT. It is covered in both part 1 as well as in part 2. So thank you so much for your patiently watching this video. And if you like it, do click the like button. Do subscribe to my channel for the upcoming biotech videos. And if you really like it, do leave some comments. Thank you so much.